found that onion. It's on the bottom of my foot now. Hi, and welcome to the Vegan Boomer Babe. It is a Sunday afternoon here in sunny Southwest Florida, and I am here to share with you how it is never too late to go vegan. On a football Sunday, what would be better than a cheesesteak and onion rings? Being a Philly girl, I was born in Philly and grew up in the Philadelphia suburbs, and cheesesteaks were part of my whole life. Coming to Southwest Florida, however, and then going vegan a couple of years ago. When you transition from traditional to plant-based foods, sometimes you might think that you're not going to be able to have your favorite foods again. So I'm here to show you how, I'm going to show you how to make a Philly cheesesteak, and it's going to be just fabulous. We're also going to have some onion rings, as I mentioned. While my pan is heating up here, I do want to talk about the onion rings that I'll be making today. Alexia onion rings. And the reason I point out Alexia is because these are vegan. They're really delicious too. Not all onion rings are vegan, so if you are looking to grab frozen potatoes, onion rings, when you transition to a plant-based diet, you do have to read ingredients. Things that you might not expect to have milk or dairy products in do, and the opposite. Then there are some great foods that are accidentally vegan. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to start off with getting our cheesesteaks with onions. In Philly, there are many, it's kind of like a little battle in Philly. There is Gino's, there's Pat's, there's Jim's, there's Tony Luke's, and they all pretty much make the same kind of sandwich, but there's a big competition about which one is best. I'm gonna say this is the best vegan cheesesteak. So I'm going to be making today a cheesesteak hoagie. Now, when you are ordering a cheesesteak in Philly, if you just order a cheesesteak, that means meat, and if you tell them what kind of cheese you want, whether it is American, Provolone, Whiz, or Cheese Whiz, it is sacrilegious to ever order Swiss on a cheesesteak in Philly, so you never want to do that. You might get some strange looks, but you get them with onions or without. With or without. So today I'm going to make this cheesesteak with. And also I'm going to add some mushrooms. So the difference between a cheesesteak and a cheesesteak hoagie, I'm going to make a cheesesteak hoagie today. And when you say cheesesteak hoagie, that means that it has shredded lettuce and tomato also. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add mushrooms. Now mushrooms are not, you can get mushroom steaks, you can get pepper steaks, you can get pizza steaks. So in the Philly area, you can really get anything you want in a cheesesteak. But the traditional way, again, is with onions and then whatever kind of vegetables you might like to add. I put a little olive oil onto my pan, and I'm going to add, I added our mushrooms, and I'm going to add the onions to this as well. And these are going to have to saute for a while, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the meat directly to this. I don't know if they do it like that in Philly necessarily. I think they have a big bowl of onions that are already sauteed, and they just scoop them on because they have, you know, just, it's like a production. So I'm doing a mini production here, and it's just going to be a Sunday afternoon football cheesesteak. So just a smaller version. So I'm going to put my mushrooms in here. I'm going to add my onions in here as well. And I'm going to just stir this around and saute them. I just had one run away. Just saute them until they are cooked. I'm going to add a little salt and pepper to these. A little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. There we go. So let's just saute this for a couple of minutes until it softens, and then we will continue by adding our Impossible beef. Okay, this is smelling really good. So the onions and mushrooms are almost cooked. I'm going to get these mushrooms a little more in the center of the pan here and get those a little more browned. And then I'm going to add our Impossible beef. Now, I like Impossible beef. There's also Beyond beef. I've made it with Beyond beef before, and it's good. I think the difference between the Impossible beef and the Beyond beef, first of all, the Impossible beef is a 12-ounce package, and the Beyond beef is a 16-ounce package. The Beyond beef, I think, has a little more of a charbroiled flavor, and the Impossible beef is, to me, a little more like plain beef. So that's why I'm using Impossible beef today. I'm going to break it up into chunks. So rather than, not small chunks, not big chunks, medium chunks. And then I'm going to just cook this all together. Now I'm going to add, as I mentioned earlier, I think the Philly traditional way is with Cheez Whiz, with Whiz. And I'm going to use Provolone today. If you wanted to make a vegan Cheez Whiz, you could certainly do that. They sell, I know Kite Hill makes a queso already made that you could use, and that would be a really nice little spicy flair on it. So, wash my hands. Okay, we have this cooking. While this beef, I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. I found that onion. It's on the bottom of my foot now. I am going to add a little salt and pepper to this. So, you know, normally I don't add much salt to Impossible beef or Beyond meat, but I'm going to add just a bit. Because I think, you know, cheesesteak is not, it's not the healthiest food, whether it's vegan or not vegan. So just added a little bit of salt. Okay, let's talk about bread. I know in Philly, bread's a big issue. There's only one kind of bread. I think it's Amoroso is the bread to use. Again, I am now in Southwest Florida. I don't know if there's, you know, we can get a lot of things down here, but I don't know if Amoroso bread is one of them. So I have found in my Publix a Cuban loaf. So what you want is something, something that is a little crunchy, a little, I'm tapping so you can hear, soft on the inside, a little, you know, crusty on the outside. And that is the best bread for a cheesesteak, in my opinion. So I do have one Cuban loaf. I'm going to cut this in half. I'm going to get this all ready for when our beef is done. Now, when you're using Impossible beef or Beyond beef, you need to remember that it's not real meat. So you don't have to really overcook this. Kind of just like steak, you wouldn't really want to overcook steak either. This is coming along nicely. smells absolutely delicious. It'll be perfect for football with an ice cold beer. I think nothing goes better with a cheesesteak than a beer, cold beer. And then some onion rings. Now, as far as condiments go, when you are having a cheesesteak, that's another little silly issue. There are some people that feel that you should not put anything on a cheesesteak, and that is kind of the camp that I'm in. There are some people that put mayo on their cheesesteaks, ketchup, another Philly thing. But when you have, to me, when you have the cheese, I don't know if you necessarily, for me, I am just making this. Here we go. Okay, this is starting to brown really perfectly. Now I'm going to add, I mentioned I'm going to add provolone cheese. So what I'm using today is Follow Your Heart provolone cheese. Fabulous cheese. You know, all of the vegan cheeses, I'm going to pause here for a second and do a little thing about cheese. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, it's vegan cheese. It can't be good. So, so don't turn your nose up. They can be really, really good. If you're already vegan, you know that we have, as plant-based, you have great options today. It's not as hard being plant-based today as it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So, so anyway, cheeses are good. And we're going to use the provolone today. There is, I was always a fan of provolone. Again, I mentioned whiz or American are traditional. Okay, we are getting there now. So what I'm going to do, you can see that the mushrooms and onions are nicely incorporated into the beef. Again, we could have added green peppers if we wanted to. If we wanted to, at this point, make a pizza steak, you could do that as well with a little tomato sauce and provolone, I guess I would use. So I'm going to make these into little rows here, and I'm going to add my cheese. So I'm going to just line up the cheese. And I'm going to kind of let this melt just a little bit. And I am going to also put on top of this, when this is finished, I'm going to add some shredded lettuce. I bought shredded lettuce already shredded in a bag. If you want, you can use your food processor to shred your own lettuce. I also sliced some tomatoes. Again, the lettuce and tomato makes it a hoagie. And then a really important ingredient is oregano when you're doing a cheesesteak hoagie. So this is looking pretty good. I do have my super duper spatula. This is a fish spatula. That's what it said on the package. So being vegan, we will never use this for fish. We'll be using it for cheesesteaks. This is our cheesesteak spatula. So I'm going to get these, and I'm going to just kind of put that bread over top of this cheese just for a second. Now there is like a real, I don't know, a little challenge getting this out in one piece, but we're going to try. We're going to do it. Okay. Not too bad. All right. Oops. Okay. Again, we have some runners on the floor. And I'm going to try this one. See if I can do better with this one. I thought maybe the sound effect was off. Okay, we're getting quite a bit all over, but this plenty here. Okie dokie. Put that there. I'm going to build these. Okay, we have our cheese, we have our steak, and now I'm going to put our lettuce. Now, I like a lot of lettuce, kind of like a salad, kind of like the healthy portion of the Cheez Steak Hoagie. So, and I'm going to get our tomatoes. Thin sliced tomatoes are key, I think. This one wants to go that way, so I'm going to spin it around. Okie dokie. Now, I am going to add salt and pepper because we definitely want salt and pepper on the tomatoes and lettuce. You could add raw onions if you wanted. I mean, we have the fried onions in there. You could add raw onions in addition if you wanted to. Okay, and as I mentioned, oregano. So I just have a little trouble with this lid. Let me just see if I can get this lid off. I don't know why this lid seems to want to give me. Got it. Okay, I'm gonna just sprinkle a good amount. I'm going to be liberal with oregano, and I have to tell you that I mean, I like oregano, but I love it on a cheesesteak. Okay, now here is how we are going to put this together. I'm going to just put the knife in and fold it together, and there we have it. And I'm going to put this knife in here. Okay, let me get a platter. Should have gotten my platter out, but here it is. And I will cut this one in half. Ooh, that looks good. So then I can smell them. And there we have it, our Philly cheesesteaks, Cheez Steak Hoagies. And they are a way to make your transition from traditional food to plant-based foods. You can have all the foods that you had before. Just about anything can be veganized. So I hope you will give this a try at your next football game. But thanks for joining me today, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you. Cheers.